In the year 1914, Germany stood as a world leader in photographic technology. The German military understood the potential influence of photographic documentation early on. Consequently, around 50 photographers were officially attached to German forces at the war's outset. For comparison, the French military assigned approximately 35 photographers during the same period. British military authorities adopted a more cautious approach. It wasn't until 1916 that an official British photographer was permitted access to the Western Front. Among the German photographers, one individual, Hans Hildenbrand, employed a distinct and uncommon technique. He utilized color photography processes. The vast majority of photographic records created during the First World War were monochromatic. Hildenbrand's work, therefore, represented a technological rarity on the battlefield. His involvement with color photography predated the conflict. As early as 1909, Hildenbrand began experimenting with the Autochrome process. 3 years before the war erupted, in 1911, he founded a society dedicated to color photography in his home city of Stuttgart. His experience with the medium was relatively extensive for the time. During the war, the Autochrome process had limitations. The photographic plates required long exposures, making it difficult to capture action without blur. As a result, Hildenbrand often arranged scenes with soldiers posing. This necessity arose from the technical constraints of the film sensitivity available, rather than purely for staged propaganda. His assignments took him to various parts of the front. He documented German soldiers occupying the ruins of Somepi, a French village near the Marne River. From June 1915 until January 1916, Hildenbrand was embedded with German troops stationed in the Champagne region of France. Some documentation from this period was later published as postcards. Throughout the war, Hildenbrand recorded scenes of widespread destruction without apparent restriction. He documented the effects of shelling on towns and landscapes. A recurring subject in wartime photography from that era, captured by Hildenbrand and others, involved damaged or destroyed churches. Such documentation became less common in later conflicts as military authorities exercised greater control over permitted subjects. In the summer of 1916, Hildenbrand journeyed to document activity near Hartmannsweiler Kopf. Many troops had been stationed around that strategic mountain in the Vosges range for over a year. He created records of military life, including engineers working near bunkers in Champagne. He also documented conditions during the winter of 1916 in Alsace. His work extended to documenting sites like the French village of Sainte-Marie-à-Pie during the summer of 1915. The cumulative effect of his wartime documentation offers a perspective on the conditions faced by soldiers. The conflict itself marked a profound global shift. The First World War initiated vast political, cultural, and social transformations worldwide. Its conclusion and immediate aftermath saw revolutions and significant unrest. Empires that had stood for centuries ceased to exist. The Austro-Hungarian, German, Ottoman, and Russian empires all collapsed as a direct or indirect result of the war. From their territories, numerous new states emerged onto the world map. In 1919, the victorious powers convened at the Paris Peace Conference. Terms were imposed upon the defeated nations through a series of treaties, most notably the Treaty of Versailles directed at Germany. Despite efforts to establish lasting peace, including the formation of the League of Nations, the settlement ultimately proved unstable. Another global conflict erupted just over 2 decades later. Hans Hildenbrand was not entirely unique in using color photography during the war. A French photographer, Jules Gervais-Coeur de Lemont, also documented the conflict using color processes. Gervais-Coeur de Lemont recorded scenes from the French perspective, including documentation related to the Battle of Verdun in the summer of 1916. That single battle resulted in hundreds of thousands of casualties on both sides. Interestingly, after the war concluded, both Hans Hildenbrand and Jules Gervais-Coeur de Lemont found employment with the same prominent American publication. Both contributed significantly to National Geographic magazine in the post-war years. The employment of color photography during the Great War remained exceptionally uncommon. Hans Hildenbrand's efforts therefore produced a distinct body of work documenting the German military experience. His use of the Autochrome process, pioneered years earlier, required careful staging. Subjects needed to remain still for extended periods due to the low sensitivity of the photographic plates. Consequently, spontaneous action shots were generally not feasible with the color technology available to him. His compositions often involved soldiers arranged in static poses. Beyond color, Hildenbrand also explored other contemporary photographic techniques. Records indicate his experimentation with stereoscopic processes, aiming to create three-dimensional effects. During his time embedded with troops, he documented various aspects of military occupation and life near the front lines. He recorded groups of soldiers amidst the destruction in French villages like Samepi. He also documented military infrastructure, such as engineers positioned near bunkers in the Champagne region. Camp life and winter conditions in areas like Alsace were also subjects of his documentation. The relative freedom Hildenbrand had in recording scenes of devastation, including ruined churches, marks a contrast with later conflicts. Military censorship regarding documentation subjects became more stringent during the Second World War. His work provides a different layer to the historical record of the First World War. It complements the vast archive of monochromatic documentation from the era. The survival of his color plates offers a unique perspective, challenging the purely stark, gray-toned understanding often associated with the conflict. It adds a dimension focused on the textures and hues present at the time, even amidst ruin. Ultimately, Hildenbrand's wartime contributions, alongside those of contemporaries like Gervais Coeur-de-Lemont, enrich the historical account. They utilized emergent technology to record aspects of a world-altering conflict. The documentation produced by Hans Hildenbrand during the Great War, using the relatively new Autochrome color process, stands as a unique historical artifact. It offers a different kind of record compared to the prevalent black and white photography of the time. His prior experience, dating back to 1909, and his founding of a color photography society in Stuttgart in 1911, equipped him with skills few possessed when war erupted. This expertise allowed him to navigate the technical challenges of early color work in difficult field conditions. Although the slow speed of the Autochrome plates necessitated posed arrangements, the resulting documents capture details about uniforms, equipment, and the environment that monochromatic processes might render less distinctly. The presence of color adds a layer of immediacy, bridging the intervening decades. Subsequently, the subjects Hildenbrand documented, ruined villages, soldiers in trenches, military camps, acquire a particular resonance through the color medium. The juxtaposition between the method of documentation and the grim reality of the Western Front is noteworthy. His work contributes to a fuller understanding of the period, supplementing the vast archives of written accounts and monochromatic photographic records. It underscores the reality that the war, despite its devastation, occurred in a world of color. Following the conflict, Hildenbrand's skills continued to be recognized. His transition, along with his French counterpart Gervais Coeur-de-Lemont, to working for National Geographic ensured his photographic contributions reached a wide international audience for years to come. The specific color process Hans Hildenbrand employed, Autochrome, captured the hues of the world through microscopic, dyed particles embedded directly onto the glass plates. It recorded natural color directly, unlike later hand-tinting methods sometimes applied to monochromatic records. During the period following the war, the collective memory of the conflict was largely shaped by black and white documentation. Encountering Hildenbrand's color work decades later offered a different kind of connection to the past, presenting the era with an unexpected vividness. Such documentation provides valuable insights for historians studying the material culture of the war. Details of uniforms, terrain, and even the atmosphere of occupied zones gain a different dimension through the presence of authentic color. The survival of these Autochrome plates is itself significant. As delicate glass objects exposed to the rigors of war and the passage of time, their existence today allows for continued study and reflection. Hildenbrand's contribution remains a unique chapter in the history of wartime documentation. He stands out as the primary German photographer who chronicled the Great War using the challenging, yet revealing, medium of color photography.